Good evening, I'm Bristol Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Yesterday we saw drama unfold at the Malacca State Legislative Assembly as Perikatan Nasional installed their own speaker. Today we witness even more drama, this time in Kedah. Sidam representative Dr Ling and Lunas representative Azman Nasrudin have quit PKR after losing confidence in the leadership of party president Anwar Ibrahim. This is a catastrophic move for Pakatan Harapan as this means they have lost power in Kedah.
Keyakinan dan hilang kepercayaan telah mengumumkan keluar parti dan kami juga ingin mengumumkan saya Wabi Robert dan juga saya dan Wabi Robert akan memberikan sokongan yang padu kepada Perdana Menteri kita yang ada pada hari ini, iaitu Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin sebagai Perdana Menteri.
Last week, Kedah PAS Chief Ahmad Yahya claimed that Robert Ling's allegiance to Mukris and Pakatan Harapan was in doubt. Ahmad also claimed that PAS was poised to take over the state government. Prior to this, Mukris Mahathir, who is also Bersatu Deputy President, maintained the Harapan government in Kedah, even though Party President Muhyiddin Yassin had taken Bersatu out of the coalition to form Perikatan Nasional with BN, PAS, GPS and other minor parties. Mukris is currently challenging Muhyiddin for the presidency in the upcoming party polls. Now with Harapan out of power in Kedah, the home state of Dr Mahathir Mohamad, his rivals in Perikatan Nasional will now have to decide who will be the next MB to replace his son Mukris. But one thing is certain, PAS has the largest number of seats in the state. PAS Janeri Assembly Person Muhammad Sanusi Mat Noor has announced that Perikatan Nasional has majority support to form the state government in Kedah. In a press conference today, he said that 23 out of the 36 Kedah Assembly persons have lost confidence in Menteri Besar Mukris Mahathir. The 23 Assembly persons include 15 from PAS, 2 from BN, 2 former PKR representatives who left the party earlier today, and 4 from Bersatu. Sanusi said with the loss of confidence, the Pakatan Harapan government in Kedah has lost their power, and that 19 out of 23 Assembly persons have agreed to form a Perikatan Nasional state government pending the Kedah Sultan's decision. Sanusi added that PAS, UMNO and Bersatu party presidents will next decide on the MB candidate. It has been speculated that PAS had proposed Sanusi to be appointed as the next Menteri Besar. Sanusi is the state PAS commissioner and current Kedah opposition leader. We're not at a single digit yet, but we're pretty close. Today we recorded the lowest number of new COVID-19 cases since the MCO was put in place. Malaysia today recorded the lowest number of new COVID-19 cases in 2 months, with 16 cases. Health Ministry Director General Dr Noor Hisham Abdullah said from these 16 cases, 9 involved foreigners. The last time the country recorded such a low number of daily cases was before it went into a partial lockdown. During the ministry's daily press conference today, he also reported that another 110 COVID-19 patients have recovered. This brings the total number of recoveries to 5,223. There were no new fatalities reported today. With fears that the reopening of businesses may lead to a second wave of COVID-19 infections, Dr Noor Hisham said it was the responsibility of all to make sure that doesn't happen.
So now the onus is not only on the shoulders of Ministry of Health and the government, but to each individual in the country. They have to comply. Social compliance is important. Social discipline is important, and social responsibility. This is a responsibility for all of us to comply with the SOP that we have. If we comply, we can bring down the graph further. So whether we have a second wave or not is not up to the ministry, but the onus is on the public as well. So we need to make sure that the public can comply to all the SOP that has been given by the Ministry of Health.
He said he was told by IGP Abdul Hamid Badur that the compliance rate is at almost 90%, so the government may need to focus on convincing the other 10% to bring down the number of new cases further.
We have to make history. If we want to be successful and to break the chain of the COVID infection in this country, we have to come together as one. And if all of us put our effort, I'm sure we can do it. Malaysia boleh.
On my way to the studio today, the roads were packed, almost how things were before the MCO, and our minister has noticed this too. This is why he reminded Malaysians today that there are still some restrictions in place. Some barbers in Kuala Lumpur have begun making house calls in the Klang Valley after several of them were allegedly summoned for private services, according to media reports. However, during a press conference today, Defence Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob clarified that such services remain prohibited under the Conditional Movement Control Order.
Berita baru ni, saya pun tak dapat berita perkara ni. Ya. Dari segi SOP, dari segi peraturan memang tidak dibolehkan. Walau mana pun itu berita yang tidak dapat disahkan mungkin. Jadi saya tak boleh nak memberi jawapan ya atau tidak. Tetapi SOP-nya sama. Setakat hari ini barber ataupun gunting rambut masih lagi di dalam senarai terlarang, negative list. Jadi tak boleh lah, sama ada di rumah ke pejabat ke kedai gunting ke, sama saja, tak boleh.
Earlier today, online portal The Malay Mail reported that several ministers and police officers are among those engaging house call barber services amid the MCO, now entering its 8th week. Meanwhile, Ismail said under the conditional MCO, many Malaysians have forgotten that some restrictions are still in place.
Kadang-kadang kita lihat rakyat kita seolah-olah menganggap PKPB ni sudah tiada undang-undang yang dikenakan. Kita lihat ramai yang bebas, merasakan kebebasan ini kebebasan tanpa syarat dan mula mengambil kesempatan untuk keluar beramai-ramai dan sebagainya. Ramai juga yang membawa anak kecil ke supermarket seperti yang saya sebutkan semalam.
He said the tighter MCO may return if Malaysians fail to comply with the current rules of the conditional MCO.
Jadi saya ingin memberikan peringatan bahawa PKPB bukan boleh kekal terus sebagai PKPB, mungkin ianya boleh diperketatkan semula. Ini tertakluk kepada kepatuhan daripada rakyat yang kini menikmati sedikit kelonggaran. Kalau berlaku banyak ketidakpatuhan, bukan perkara yang mustahil. Akhirnya PKP seperti PKP 1, PKP 2, PKP 3 diperkenalkan semula.
Political moves continue to sweep across the nation, with the Perak State Assembly installing a new speaker after we saw something similar take place in Malacca yesterday. This was the scene at the Perak State Assembly earlier today as Perikatan Nasional backbenchers attempted to remove Berwas MP Ngeh Kuham as speaker. Perak Menteri Besar Faizal Azumu had tried to initiate a motion to remove Ngeh as speaker based on Standing Order 3, which stated that motions brought by the Menteri Besar must be given priority. Following this, several State Assembly staff attempted to approach Ngeh to convince him to leave, but he refused on grounds that he wanted to do it properly. Ngeh was eventually allowed to vacate his seat properly and stepped down after delivering a speech. He said that the rules clearly state selection of a new speaker can only take place if there was a vacancy and that a 7-day notice was required. He then announced that he would resign and declared an adjournment to the sitting to elect a new speaker and left the hall followed by opposition MPs. However, Faizal moved a motion to temporarily appoint Sungai Manik Assembly Person Zainul Fadzli Baharudin as the temporary speaker. The Pakatan Harapan administration in Perak collapsed in early March after 4 assembly persons from Bersatu left the coalition. The new Perikatan Nasional Perak government consists of 25 UMNO assembly persons, 4 from Bersatu and 3 from PAS. Earlier, in his royal address at the Perak Legislative Assembly, Perak ruler Sultan Nazrin Shah decreed that the new government must fulfill their responsibility with sincerity and honesty. He said the administration must ensure that it is clean and does not abuse its power, and added that there has to be moderation and a limit to politicking. Coming up next, all White House staff will now be required to wear face masks. Find out why after this. US President Donald Trump is in the age group that is considered high risk. This is why the White House is taking extra precautions. The White House on Monday directed all people entering the West Wing, where the daily operations of US President Donald Trump's administration are carried out, to wear face masks after 2 aides tested positive for the coronavirus, the administration said. The new guidelines released in a memo to the president's staff on Monday afternoon reflected a tightening of procedures at the highest levels of the US government over fears that Trump and Vice President Mike Pence could be exposed to the virus. Trump's military valet and Pence press secretary both tested positive for the coronavirus last week. The 73-year-old president said on Monday that he did not think those cases suggested that White House system had broken down. Officials who work near the president have been getting tested for the coronavirus, but previously had not been wearing masks on a regular basis.
When will the rest of America have the same access that members of your own White House have to testing?
And you know what? If we didn't get the tests, if we did no tests in the White House, you'd be up complaining, why aren't you getting tests for the White House? See, we can't win, because if we didn't get the tests, you'd be up. I understand you very well, better than you understand yourself. And frankly, if we did get tests done, you'd be up complaining about the fact that we didn't have the tests done.
Trump has been resistant to wearing a mask himself and has not put one on in public, though he said he tried some backstage during a visit to a mask factory in Arizona last week. On Saturday, he met with top leaders of the US military, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and members of his national security team in the White House cabinet room. The officials did not wear masks but had been tested for the virus in advance, a Pentagon spokesperson said, adding that social distancing measures appeared to have been met. Secret Service agents in the room wore masks. The president is in the age group that is considered high risk for complications with the coronavirus, which has killed more than 80,000 people in the United States alone and ravaged countries and economies worldwide. Staff members, including Jared Kushner, the president's senior advisor, and son-in-law, wore masks on White House grounds on Monday. The White House said last week it was stepping up precautions for people who spend time around Trump and Pence, both of whom have resumed travel outside of Washington. The two men are being tested for the virus daily. The French are now getting haircuts while people in Shanghai have begun visiting the Disney theme park there. Is this too much too soon? Some experts think so. Global alarm was sounded on Monday of a potential second wave of coronavirus cases after Germany, which had been relatively successful in slowing the outbreak, reported that infections had accelerated again after the first tentative steps to ease a lockdown. But in the United States, which has the highest COVID-19 death toll in the world, President Donald Trump accused Democrats of reopening states too slowly for political advantage. In Europe, Spain and France also took major steps to ease strict lockdowns. Workers cleaned shop fronts to reopen for the first time since March in Paris as the government eased some restrictions. The French government had allowed non-essential shops, factories and other businesses to reopen for the first time in 8 weeks to help resuscitate the economy. In China, Mickey Mouse welcomed thin-out crowds in Shanghai, the first Disney theme park to reopen with a strict limit on tickets. Parades and fireworks were cancelled and workers and guests had to wear face masks and their temperatures screened. Guests on the reopening on Monday, mostly parents with children and young couples, were greeted by waving park staff as they walked in, having been asked to show a green health code on their mobile phones before being allowed in. The Chinese government has asked Disney to cap attendance to the reopened park at 30% of capacity, or roughly 24,000 people. But Disney plans to open the park far below that capacity to try out new safeguards. The city of Wuhan in central China, origin of the global outbreak, reported its first cluster of infections since its severe lockdown was lifted a month ago. The head of the World Health Organization's emergency program urged extreme vigilance in the form of testing and contact tracing as countries loosen restrictions. The WHO noted that Germany, South Korea and China all had such programs. Some of the countries and territories that are opening up their economies are not waiting for sustained falls in the spread of the virus. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.